Let me tell you a slightly uncomfortable truth. Your bank doesn't actually want you completely broke. What they want is something much more profitable. A little bit broke. Just broke enough to rack up fees. Just broke enough to rely on their expensive products. Just broke enough to stay profitable. And there's one specific number that changes that entire relationship. Today, I'm going to show you why hitting $20,000 in savings completely transforms how money works in your life, and why banks secretly hate when you cross that line. All right, picture life when your savings are basically empty. You're constantly running mental calculations. If I fill up the gas tank today, can I still buy groceries tomorrow? If this payment clears tonight, will my account survive until Friday? How many days until my next paycheck? Every surprise expense turns into a full-blown emergency. Your tire blows out. Crisis. You get a random medical bill. Your laptop dies the week you need it for work. Total disaster. You're one rough month away from putting everything on credit cards. One missed paycheck away from serious trouble. One unlucky event away from a financial spiral that can take years to climb out of. That's not really living. That's survival mode. And right now, millions of people are stuck there. But here's the part nobody talks about enough. There's a point where that pressure suddenly drops. A number where emergencies stop feeling like life-ruining events and start feeling like annoying inconveniences. For most people, that number is about $20,000, not $250,000, not even $75,000. Just $20,000 sitting safely in a savings account can completely change your financial reality. Let me show you why. For a lot of households, $20,000 represents roughly 4 to 6 months of living expenses. That's not a starter emergency fund. That's the real version. With that kind of cushion, most single problems can be handled without borrowing money. Transmission fails? Annoying, but manageable. You suddenly need dental work. Stressful, but covered. Your company lays people off? You have time to breathe and figure out your next move. That constant background anxiety finally quiets down. The feeling that one bad week could wreck everything starts to disappear. But here's where it gets really interesting. Once you cross about $20,000, you actually become a much less profitable customer for your bank. And trust me, they really don't love that. Let's talk about how banks actually make money from regular people. First up, overdraft fees. Banks collect billions every year from people accidentally spending more than they have in their checking accounts. Imagine your balance drops to -$8 because a bill cleared before your paycheck arrived. The bank charges you a $35 overdraft fee. You basically paid $35 because you were short $8. And if 2 or 3 transactions hit while you're negative, multiple fees. But when you have $20,000 sitting in savings, overdrafts basically disappear. That cushion catches everything, which means the bank makes exactly zero overdraft money from you. They're not fans of that. Second, emergency borrowing. When someone has no savings and something goes wrong, their choices are usually pretty rough. High-interest payday loans, personal loans with brutal rates, credit cards charging nearly 30% interest. When people are desperate for cash, they don't shop around. They just need money immediately, and lenders know it. This conveys money in restaurants on all sides of the profit. But if you've got $20,000 and your furnace suddenly needs replacing, you don't panic. Problem solved. No loan, no interest, no profit for the lender. That's another revenue stream gone. Third, credit card interest. Millions of people carry balances month after month because they can't fully pay off their cards. Interest piles up quietly in the background. If someone carries just a few $1,000s on a card, the interest alone can cost hundreds or even over $1,000 a year. But people with strong savings rarely need to carry balances. They pay their card off every month. They still use the rewards. They still swipe the card. But the bank collects zero interest. Inside the credit card industry, there's actually a nickname for customers like that. They call them deadbeats. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they're using the system without being profitable. Fourth, Account fees. Some banks charge monthly maintenance fees unless you maintain a certain balance. When someone lives paycheck to paycheck, their account might drop below those minimums constantly. So they get hit with $10 or $15 charges every month just to keep the account open. But if you've got $20,000 in savings, minimum balance requirements are basically irrelevant. Another fee stream disappears. And finally, there's something more subtle: stress-driven decisions. Financial stress makes people impulsive. You buy things you don't really need because you want a quick mood boost. You accept terrible financing because you're afraid to lose the deal. You rush big decisions because you feel pressured. Stress is profitable. But when you have a real cushion in the bank, your mindset changes. You slow down. You compare options. You walk away from bad offers. That buffer protects you from emergencies, but it also protects you from panic decisions. And that leads to one of the biggest shifts of all: the psychology. Below $20,000, most people operate from what I call survival brain. Every decision revolves around avoiding disaster. What if something goes wrong? What if I can't cover this bill? What if my income drops? Your brain is constantly calculating risk. But once you cross that savings line, you shift into something different. Breathing room brain. You're not rich. You're not flying private. But you finally have options. You can negotiate harder in a job offer. You can wait for a better deal when buying something big. You can say no when something doesn't feel right. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine your manager treats you terribly. Long hours, constant criticism, zero respect. If you have zero savings, you're stuck. You need every paycheck. Leaving isn't really an option. But with $20,000 in the bank, you suddenly have leverage. You could walk out tomorrow and still have months to find something better. The power dynamic changes instantly. Same job, same boss, completely different situation. That's what financial breathing room does. Now the big question: how do you actually get to $20,000? If you're starting from zero, that number can feel massive. But the path is simpler than people think. Step 1. Find your margin. Look at your income and expenses and figure out what's left over, even if it's only $75 or $100 a month. That gap is your starting point. Step 2. Automate it. Set up an automatic transfer the same day your paycheck hits. The money moves into savings before you even notice it. Step 3. Treat savings like a bill, not optional. Not if there's anything left. It's a payment you make to your future self. Step 4. Capture windfalls, tax refunds, work bonuses, cash gifts. Instead of spending them immediately, funnel them straight into the savings goal. And step 5. Remove one expense that doesn't actually matter to you. Everyone has something: a subscription they barely use, a membership they forgot about, a small habit that adds up every month. Cut it and redirect that money. Let's say you manage to save $350 a month. That's $4,200 a year. In a little under 5 years, you're sitting on $20,000. And yes, that sounds slow, but those 5 years are going to pass anyway. The only question is what your bank balance looks like when they do. And here's the funny thing: once you start seeing that number grow, it becomes addictive. You start looking for extra ways to add to it. You keep raises instead of upgrading your lifestyle. The momentum builds. Most people hit the goal faster than they expected. And when they do, everything shifts. The stress drops, the options expand, and suddenly the bank isn't making much money from you anymore. You go from being the product to being the customer. Now, let's be clear. $20,000 isn't retirement money. It's not generational wealth, but it is a powerful milestone. Below that line, you're constantly playing defense, dodging fees, reacting to emergencies, and hoping nothing goes wrong. Above it, you finally get to play offense. You start building wealth, taking smart risks, making decisions from strength instead of fear. Banks quietly rely on millions of people staying below that line. Their entire system profits from financial stress. Every dollar you add to your savings is one less dollar they can pull from you in interest or fees. So if you want to become a terrible customer for your bank, if this video helped you see why that first $20,000 matters so much, hit subscribe. I post daily videos breaking down the money moves that actually change your life. And drop a comment below. Where are you on your way to $20,000? Let's track that progress together.